there's only 0.06% of all farmers in Connecticut are people of color. And we created this network where we have hemp people that are into the fiber and grain, and they want to push that. They're into food security and growing more food for the community. And this is what we're pushing right now. How can we create this cooperative of farmers so we can push food security, hemp growing for fiber and grain, and we can move Connecticut into a sustainable place, because right now we're not sustainable at all.
That's Freedom Gerardo from Cimarron Farmstead in Danbury, Connecticut. This is the Lancaster Farming Industrial Hemp Podcast. My name is Eric Herlock, and today I'm going to be talking to Freedom. He's a farmer, a father, an educator, a community organizer, and as of this growing season, he is the first farmer to grow fiber hemp in Connecticut in a very long time. We're going to hear all about his operation there in Danbury and how he works with his community to grow food and build awareness around industrial hemp. First, we'll take a sponsor break and then come back with a few nuggets of hemp news. Okay, so this week's show is made possible with generous support from IND Hemp in Fort Benton, Montana. And there's a message from the folks at IND Hemp this week, and they want you to know that if you've been invited to the Montana Hemp Summit that's taking place in Montana this summer, and if you haven't registered for the event, please register. So you know who you are, check your email, click on the link, and please register, because they need a head count. They need to know who's coming and how many people are coming. All right, so that's the message this week from IND Hemp out there in Fort Benton, Montana, where they believe in the goodness of hemp. Our show this week is also brought to you with support from Americhanvre Cast-Hemp. That's Pennsylvania's premier hempcrete building company run by Cameron McIntosh. He's been on the show before. Maybe you've been to his workshops. So yeah, if you want to see your hempcrete dreams come to fruition, get in touch with Cameron at Americhanvre.com. And yes, that's hard to say, but it's easy to click on the link on the show page for this episode. Our show is also made possible this week with support from the National Hemp Association, who, you might be interested to know, are doing lots of great work for the fiber and grain industry, as well as the carbon sequestration potential of industrial hemp. So it would behoove you to check them out at nationalhempassociation.org, become a member, take advantage of their network and their knowledge base. So yeah, National Hemp Association. All right, so that's the sponsor message, okay? So be sure to check those folks out, IND Hemp, Americhanvre, and National Hemp Association. And let's see, we do have a few nuggets of hemp news this week. Let's see what we have here. And I didn't hear from anyone about my newfound love of ChatGPT, where I find the news stories on the internet, I read them, I decide what to include, and then I feed them into the computer, and it spits out a nice little summary, and then I can ask it some questions. It's really interesting. So that's what we're going to do here today. So yeah, a few nuggets of hemp news. This first one is on the BBC, and the headline is "The Buildings Constructed from Cannabis" by Francesca Perry. And this is a summary written by a computer. It says that architects are turning to hemp as a sustainable construction material due to its carbon-capturing properties and renewable nature. Hempcrete, made from mixing hemp hurd with lime and water, offers high thermal mass and insulation benefits, reducing greenhouse gas emissions in buildings. However, challenges such as regulations, certification, and scaling production need to be addressed for wider adoption of hemp-based materials. So then I asked ChatGPT what the benefits of using hemp in construction are, according to this article, and it gave me top 5. Number 1, carbon capture and reduced emissions. Number 2, renewable and sustainable. Number 3, thermal performance and insulation. Number 4, moisture regulation and mold prevention. And number 5, local sourcing and circular ecology. It's so simple that even a stupid computer understands it. Here's another story. The headline reads, "Study finds 90% of Arizona hemp farmers failed from 2019 to 2021. Here's why." And it's written by Michael Dudna. And again, this is a summary from ChatGPT. So here are the reasons why hemp failed in Arizona, according to this article. Number 1, lack of research in seed quality. Farmers often used seeds that were not suitable for Arizona's hot climate, resulting in poor growth and low quality crops. Number 2, inconsistent regulations and lack of standardized sources. Unlike crops like corn, hemp lacked standardized seed sources and comprehensive government regulations, making it challenging for farmers to ensure seed quality and compliance with THC limits. Number 3, there was an overemphasis on CBD. Many farmers focused solely on CBD production, considering it a lucrative market. However, issues such as plants with excessive THC levels or difficulties in extracting CBD led to crop destruction and financial losses. And then number 4, limited market diversification. The excessive focus on CBD as a single product limited the exploration of other potential uses for hemp, such as textiles, nylon, and construction supplies. And then finally, here's one from Pennsylvania. This actually comes to us from the Department of Agriculture here in Pennsylvania, and it says that the Shapiro administration, Shapiro is our new governor. The Shapiro administration awards more than $390,000 to grow the Pennsylvania hemp industry. The story says that the new administration in Pennsylvania has awarded grants totaling $392,265 to 3 agriculture nonprofits to support the growth of the hemp industry in the state. The grant aims to promote fiber and food hemp markets, increase sales, and raise awareness about hemp-based products. The recipients include the Pennsylvania Hemp Industry Council, which will focus on creating new markets and promoting hemp benefits; USearch, a nonprofit developing an educational program for disadvantaged communities to participate in the hemp industry; and Vital Plant Science Research, which plans to introduce a STEM curriculum for high schools and universities to engage in industrial hemp production. These grants contribute to the administration's effort to nurture the hemp industry, including supporting research, fostering partnerships, and investing in the growth of a vibrant hemp sector. So there you go. There are the ChatGPT summaries of the news nuggets for this week. All right, let's go talk to the hemp farmer at Cimarron Farmstead in Danbury, Connecticut. Freedom Gerardo, welcome to the Lancaster Farming Industrial Hemp Podcast. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Could you introduce yourself for us?
Yes, my name is Freedom Gerardo. I'm a community activist, a farmer, land steward, father. I'm from Danbury, Connecticut, and I grow fiber and grain, hemp fiber and grain. I'm done with the CBD. I lost a lot of money 2 years ago, so I'm sticking with hemp and fiber. So that's
awesome.
who I am.
Cool. So I can't imagine there's a lot of fiber and grain growers in Connecticut.
Not at all.
Yeah. So are you like the first?
Only one. I'm the only one. So there's so when they legalized hemp in 2018, we had a boost of farmers that went and got their licenses. So we had about 280 plus farmers that joined the program in Connecticut.
Yep.
But by 2023, there's only 77.
Oh, wow.
Because all the farmers in Connecticut that were doing that was doing CBD lost a lot of money because 2018 it was up here.
Yep.
Everything was going good, and then we hit a wall.
Yep.
And it went down the cannabinoid for the CBD growing, especially in Connecticut, and a lot of farmers don't want it. They said that this is a crop that I'm losing money on. I thought it was going to be a cash crop that's going to help my business, but I'm losing money because I still have flowers sitting on my shelves.
Right.
Because nobody's buying CBD flower. Everybody want to smoke weed, especially, at that time, everybody's talking about legalizing in Connecticut. So people were gearing up to also get into the weed business.
Right. It's like the
So
CBD
that's
was practiced for the high THC side.
for the high THC stuff.
Yeah.
So knowing that, I started in 2021 growing for CBD.
Okay.
And last year I grew for CBD, but I lost money. I just sold like 2 months ago. I just sold my last few pounds that I had of CBD flower, and like 1 pound I sold it for $150
Whoa.
versus the THC that's 3,200 some places, for a pound.
That's a big
Um,
differential there.
it's a big difference. So I started doing more research. The research that I was doing on CBD and the different cannabinoids when it comes to hemp. That was the research that I was doing. But then I got intrigued on the other 25,000 uses for hemp. I mean, we started with one, so there's 24,999 other uses that we haven't explored. And that's what intrigued me, and that's why I moved from CBD. And this year, it's gonna be the first year that I'm going for fiber and grain, and I'm the only one in Connecticut that's doing that.
That's awesome.
And out of the 77, I told you this the last
Yeah.
time we met. Half of those are fighting to get into the weed business.
Right.
So that cuts half of the hemp farmers down. So I'm the only one standing here fighting for fiber and grain because the Department of Ag in Connecticut are not about it.
That really? Okay. I interviewed the Commissioner of Ag, Brian Hurlburt, I guess maybe almost 3 years ago. And that was like, 2020, like it wasn't, I guess things were crashing at that point. I think then he said there was like, I don't know, 170 growers in the state. I probably asked him about fiber and grain then, but I haven't listened to that interview in a while. But you would think they would want to encourage, all types of agriculture, especially one that has, so many applications, useful applications. But let's talk about when I met you. It was at a hempcrete workshop down here in Pennsylvania. I guess that was back in April or May.
April.
That's what's drawing you into the fiber side, is that ability to make stuff out of it, right? Like what? Yeah, that's awesome.
So for me, it's like, the commissioner, he needs some education, right? So I feel like this is my job, and I feel like that's what my journey in this industry in Connecticut is bringing the education here, because people don't understand the value of hemp in Connecticut. Like, for the budget, they just passed the new budget in Connecticut. The dairy farmers made a few phone calls and they got $5 million in that budget. Right away, they got that $5 million because they made a phone calls. They got the lobbyists. They got the money back in it, right? So they got $5 million for their industry. When I talk to them about hemp, is that there's no money. It's federally illegal, which they said that to me, and I said, "What are you talking about? It's federally legal, so you can put money into it, like Pennsylvania is doing it right now."
Yeah.
And I sent them the program that they created to give money to hemp farmers for fiber and grain. And they told me, well, this is the programs that we have. Mind you, all these programs are matching. So if you apply for one of these programs, you have to match the money that they give you. And they don't give you money up front. You got to pay for everything. And then when they do the inspection, that's when they give you the money, right? So they were telling me you should go to apply for this program because that's the only programs we have, and that's the only programs you're going to have right now. A few years back, they were fighting the kelp and seaweed industry in Connecticut. They were fighting it. Now they're doing photo ops. Now it's one of the emerging industries in Connecticut because now they love it, right? Because they see the potential. They see that these farmers didn't care what they said and they kept doing it, right? And that's what I'm doing here in Connecticut. It's like, I don't care what you tell me. I'm just going to show you why this is important. And then when I show you why this is important, then don't come for the photo op because I'm not taking it. I'm just going to call you out, right? Because I'm an activist. I've been organizing communities of color and community oppressed communities for the past 20 years. I come from a background of union organizing. So one of my biggest fear in the cannabis industry overall is how we will treat our workers. Are we going to treat our workers fairly, or are we going to be like every other industry that do not care about the workers, right? Because I come from a union movement, from the union movement, right? So that's my background. I worked with young people, so I have a nonprofit in the South Bronx that I work with youth around food insecurity. So I teach young people about power, how to build power, how to grow their own food, and that's how they build their power to growing their own food. And that's what I do, right? So for me, when they come into me saying that there's no money, there's no programs right now that we can create, I say, I call BS, because they have created so many different programs in the last year. And this year alone, they created like 3 different programs out of nowhere that they put a lot of money into it. So why can you do that for the hemp industry in Connecticut, right, when it's one of the most, it's the purifier of the earth? So we should be investing on something that's gonna clean the soils, that's gonna take all the microplastics, all the PFAS out of the soil, that's gonna regenerate and bring microbes, nutrients to the soil. So how can we build just on the soil alone? Like, why can you not invest in this plant? And that's my goal here in Connecticut, is to build that. Right now we created the CT BIPOC Food Network, and it's a network of 77 farmers, BIPOC farmers in Connecticut. That's all the BIPOC farmers in Connecticut. That's only 0.06% of all farmers in Connecticut are people of color, and we are all in one group. And we created this network where we have hemp people that are into the fiber and grain, and they want to push that. They're into food security and growing more food for the community. And this is what we're pushing right now. How can we create this cooperative of farmers so we can push food security, hemp growing for fiber and grain, and we can move Connecticut into a sustainable place, because right now we're not sustainable at all.
That's awesome. Well, tell me about your farm and how you got started there.
So it's funny. In 2020, that's when we bought the property. But we didn't. In 2019, I started a podcast, Blue Dream Radio, and all we did was doing these interviews, learning about cannabis, and then I'm all about ownership. And one day, my wife and I, it was Mother's Day. She said, "I want a garden so we can grow some food." That was during the pandemic. So I built her a garden during the pandemic, and we ate like the whole summer from that small garden that we put in our old house.
Yeah.
And I was like, after that, I was like, we got to be self-sustainable, because we didn't buy food from the groceries, like the main vegetables that we use, the tomatoes, the cucumbers. We didn't have the peppers, the onions. We didn't have to buy it from the supermarket because we grew it.
Yeah.
And I said, well, we need to do this in a larger scale. So our journey began in this farming world, was to create more sustainable ways for our communities to eat. Being locavores. That's a new term that I learned, like eating local, buying local, doing everything local, right? So we decided to, go and buy a property. And if we're gonna buy a property, got to be acreage so we can grow some food. And then doing my research on hemp, if we're gonna have property, then we need to grow hemp, because we need to regenerate the soil. We need to do crop rotations. We need to move all this. We need to do all these different things so we can be regenerative, and that's when we added hemp. But it all started from a garden during the pandemic that my wife wanted, and now we moved to this dream. And now we're looking for more acreage, because we only farming on 3 acres. So we have 3 acres. We have bees, so we are beekeepers. We have goats, so we grow up all sorts of vegetables. We got hemp, but we want to get to the 35 acres, because one of the problems here in Connecticut is that to have like a good decornication facility, you need 1,000 acres plus, right? But in Connecticut, there's no 1,000 acres nowhere. So how can we build a decornication facility using the acreage that we have here, using the different states that are near, using the tri-state, and see how can we bring that into fruition here in Connecticut. But again, all of this started with a garden that my wife wanted for Mother's Day.
Nice. What's your wife's name?
My wife is Elizabeth.
Cool. And so you both
Can you
operate
hear
the
me?
farm, and then do you use the farm as like an educational
Hello.
tool for the community?
So our first of all, the name of the farm is called Cimarron Farmstead. Cimarron, Seamarron, Farmstead, and Cimarron means cimarron, like maroon. So we spell it different. So in Spanish, a maroon is called cimarron with a ci, and that means runaway slaves. That's what the Spanish used to call the free slaves that ran away and fought for their freedom. They call them cimarrones, right?
Wow.
The Spanish slave owners. But we did a play on words because our kid's name is Shere, Emma, and Amaru. So we took the first letters of their name. So we put SEA, so cimarron, instead of CI. And that's what the name came about, Cimarron Farmstead. We are runaway slaves that left the city because we used to live in New York City to do this crazy dream of becoming farmers in Connecticut. So that's the background
That's
of the name
awesome.
of
That's
the farm.
beautiful. Thank you for sharing that with me.
No problem. And because of that, we understood that because we do a lot of work organizing with young people around food insecurity, learning how to grow your own food. We understood that we cannot just take this knowledge, take this land that we are borrowing from native people, because this is not our land. And I always say this: whatever land that you are farming on, that you are living on, don't belong to you. We are farming on borrowed land that belong to some indigenous tribe that a colonizer took, right? So understanding that we are on borrowed land, we know that we need to bring people here. We need to bring the community, so we can build that multi-generational farm with young to old. They bring, the older people, they bring their knowledge from their home, because my wife's mother and my mom, in DR, they, like, I'm Dominican, my wife is Ecuadorian, so her mom in Ecuador was growing food. My mom in DR was growing food, and now they're bringing that knowledge into the farm and spreading it to the community. We want this farm is like a cooperative farm. We're building it as a cooperative. So if you come and work on the farm, if you volunteer, the food that we grow, we're definitely going to give you some food. You can come and harvest, take it home, and that's how we're building our farm as a community. Because again, we understand that we are on borrowed land. This is indigenous land that it don't belong to us, so we got to share it. And we
And
bring the
take good care
community
of it.
here. Yeah, so we can take care of, which is the land steward, which is, taking care of the land, while we going through this, what we're going through right now.
Right. And the volunteers take home food, but they also take home the knowledge, like the things that they
Yes,
learned.
and some of them don't know anything about hemp. So we do a lot of hemp trainings here. So we, teach people about all the different uses of hemp, how to grow it, the nutrients it needs, why it's so important for the soil. So we do a lot of that teaching here. And we bring our young people, we bring our kids. We have 3 kids. The oldest one is 16. So they take care of the older young people and they teach the young people. My son, he be teaching the little kids how to, put seeds. It's only 4, and he already teaching kids how to put the seed. He tells them, no, 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 not this way. You got to do it this way, right? So this is the type of community space that is needed, especially now, where so many things are happening and people, are being pulled from many different ways, and they need some escape. And we feel that this can be an escape for the community.
Awesome. Have you planted hemp yet this year? Do you have seeds in the ground
Not
yet?
yet. We planting this week.
Oh,
So
this
we
week.
have a
Nice.
volunteer week. We starting our volunteer week tomorrow. Not tomorrow, Sunday. And during that volunteer week, we're gonna plant an acre of hemp.
Okay. What's
And
the method of planting? Like a broadcast method, or what do you
yeah,
do?
bro, we have, I don't know if you know the Johnny Seeds planter.
Oh,
It
okay.
has like 6 rows.
And sort of walk, you push it, you walk
Yeah, you
behind, it
push it.
spins it out. Okay.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
not spin it out. It's just from the bottom. It
Oh, it
just
just drops
drop
out.
it. It
Okay.
just drop it. And it's pretty cool. So we got 2 of those. So we teaching people, how to use these machines. So it's all, all learning experience for people. And this is the first year we grow for fiber and grain. So a lot of people are excited because I've never seen it in person myself.
Yeah.
12 feet
Oh,
of a hemp plant.
you're gonna be
I
blown
haven't
away.
seen it.
And like 100 days from now, you're gonna be yeah. It's yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. That's part of the education because people in Connecticut have not seen that yet.
So where did you source your seeds? You know, like what genetics are you using?
I sourced it from, excuse me, from PA, from what is it,
King's
um,
Agri Seeds.
Agri Seeds. Yep.
Oh,
So I
cool.
purchased from
Okay.
her.
From
I
Sarah.
purchased,
Yeah.
yeah,
Sarah
from
Mitchell.
Sarah.
Awesome.
Yep, Sarah Mitchell. So I bought my first 2 bags because I bought two bags.
Okay.
Uh, and I purchased it from her.
Okay.
So I'm excited to see what he does. So I got a grain strain, and then I have a fiber strain. So I'm
Nice. Do
doing
you know what those varieties are?
off the top of my head, I got to look because they like have uh some weird names. It's
Weird
not
names.
weird, but
Okay, but
it's like
B.
from
Labretsky, something like that.
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. That's like a Polish variety, I think.
Yeah, which I met the guy that sourced those seeds to her. I met him in Colorado. He was there from Poland.
Magic or something like that.
Yeah,
Was that his name?
he was there. Yeah, he looks
Okay.
like very flamboyant.
Yeah. Yeah. I met him too. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
He's pretty cool. He's pretty
yeah.
cool guy.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
So that's why I'm sourcing my seeds. So
I didn't
mm.
realize you were out at NOCO. I was there too.
This year?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see you. No, I was there. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
there. I was mostly with the indigenous folks.
Okay. Cool.
Hanging out with them and hanging out with Coach. You know, Coach. Shout out to him.
Oh, Coach Freddie?
Yes.
Yeah.
Shout
Okay.
out to him.
Cool. Yeah. Shout out to Freddie.
That
Yeah. I guess that was my second NOCO.
was my second too.
Yeah. And it was nice, you know, like that super fancy resort that
It was super nice. And then me, I did pay for the resort, and then I'm thinking like, damn, I should have just gone to Airbnb because it was super expensive.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. One morning I went up to get, you know, like breakfast and they're like $7 cup of coffee. I'm like, nope. See ya. But yeah, you know.
It's a resort, but it was nice.
It was, yeah, it was good. Yeah, just the community that's there. Like, just I met so many great people and like reconnected with, you know, other people that I had already met. And so, yeah, it's good
And
stuff.
I feel like the hemp industry for fiber and grain, and also adding the CBD, is kind of different from the weed business. It's like more family, I feel, in the hemp side. Because we all understand that we all in this fight because nobody they look at us like crazy people. Why you want to grow hemp?
They'll
So
see. They'll see. It's
yeah,
it's coming. They'll see.
it's coming. So I feel like being in that space. I went this year, and I was dreading it. I went to the cannabis expo that happens in New York every year.
I've been to that one. Yeah.
Yeah,
The Javits Center.
oh man, I was dreading because I feel like that industry. It's like, how can you say that is beautiful when all these different things are happening? There's no equity. There's all these different things happening. So for me, being there was kind of like I was pushing myself to be there, right? But being in NOCO, it was like just I feel like I didn't feel that uncomfortability. I didn't feel like that anxiety that I feel when I'm in the weed space.
Right. Right. Yeah. At
Because
NOCO,
everybody want to make money in the weed space. Everybody's a predator that I've encountered. Like, everybody's predatory, so I don't want to deal with that.
yeah, that's a really good point. That's an interesting way to look at it too. At NOCO this year, I felt, like there was just a greater presence of the fiber and grain side of the industry. And like, to me, it's clear that the hemp cannabis space needs to be broken up a little bit. Like the fiber and grain needs to be sort of like, well, I mean, it's what they're trying to do with the hemp exemption, trying to like make a sub definition of it and make it easier for farmers to grow hemp for fiber and grain.
And process it. Like, for me, it's like the biggest issue is like, we can get the farm, like, if we can, like, we can push the farmers to grow it, but again, like, the people, I met a farmer here. I was working with another farm, and the owner of the other farm was buying the hemp flower from other farmers, and I went to pick up, like, what was it, like 5 tons of hemp flower that this guy had, right? And while I was speaking to this guy, he's like, I don't know why I got into this business. There's no infrastructure. I cannot sell my product. I cannot turn it into oil. It's too expensive to turn it into CBD oil. And I'm gonna give up my license. He said that to me in 2021.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So like the farmers here, they don't want it because there's no infrastructure. So we gotta build like the infrastructure before we even talk to these farmers about growing it, because they're gonna be like,
Bingo.
where I'm gonna process this.
Right. Like, yeah, like we need to figure everything else out before, because the farmers, like, if there's a market, because they know how to grow stuff, right? It's not a question of farmers. It's a question of processing and what the end product is going to be. It's like
Yeah.
I interviewed a guy a couple of weeks ago who is launching this platform where like manufacturers can like sort of publish their specs, like what they need out of the material, and then you can
Yeah.
sort of trace that back to processor, back to farmer, because it's like the wisdom right now is like the farmer shouldn't grow anything until they know what the end use is going to be, because it's like it's going to be very specific, whether you're growing for textile or for herd, for construction or bioplastics, it's going to be different varieties are going to, lend themselves to different applications.
And that's what, like in New York, I know New York, there's in the Hudson Valley, I know people are already working on that. And me, I'm trying to like bridge all of that, New York and New Jersey. So how can we all work together on this? So I'm like reaching out to them in Hudson Valley, so to see how can we all work together on this. Like you have the one in New York, I have one here in Connecticut. How can we, pull all these resources together,
Yep.
so we can build a good industry here in the tri-state?
There's a guy in the Hudson Valley named Ben Dobson. He's at Hudson Hemp and Hudson Carbon, and he's researching, the amount of carbon that hemp can sequester in the soil. I can try to put you in touch with him because
Yes,
he's
please.
not that far. Yeah.
Because this is something, that's the education and the training that we want to do here in Connecticut. Because there's a a, a, um, a, a rise of microplastics in our soil here in Connecticut. So how can we use hemp to absorb that, right? So that's part of the education, and then the carbon credits. Somebody just reached out to me about carbon credits. They're trying to give people $360 per hectare of hemp that you grow. So to me, it's like there's a lot of money that we are losing in because the education is not there.
Right, right. What are you going to do with the hemp that you grow? You're going to have 3 acres of some pretty tall stuff.
I mean, it's going to be 1 acre. So this acre is going to be just for education.
Okay.
So we're going to get the Herb Master, that machine, the Herb Master.
That we talked about already? Or
no, the Herb Master, the machine, the cornicator, that's like a small machine.
Oh, I don't know that one. Tell me about
it. That was the first machine that Cornell used.
Oh, okay.
To do presentations. So I'm gonna get that machine so we can do education. So the whole we have a 7-year plan. So our first 3 years is gonna be just education starting this year. Our first 3 years are gonna be educating, maybe selling some hemp herd, because here in Connecticut, for animal bedding, one of the biggest market, like I told you, is dairy farmers, is livestock.
Yep.
One of the biggest industry here is livestock. So how can we sell good product, good sustainable product to that industry, right? So this is where we got to be in Connecticut, is animal bedding. So how can we push that? And that's what I'm growing for, is to decornicate it so I can do trials with some horse farmers that I'm working with, some chicken farmers that I'm working with, to see how they like the product, how they like hemp instead of hay or straw.
Right. Just trying to picture an acre, and then so what's happening on the other couple of acres? That's where your vegetable operation is.
Yeah, that's what the food.
Okay.
Because we got to grow food. I love hemp, but we got to feed people. So we gotta. That's the other side. We grow all types of vegetables, a lot of garlic, a lot of tomatoes, a lot of cabbage. A lot of things that people want. We also sell to restaurants, so they can do farm to table. We do CSAs. So we try to, feed the community while we working on hemp,
Cool.
because at the end of the day, we need to feed people, and that's the purpose of the farm.
Yep. Without the farmers growing the food, we are out of luck. Oh, cool.
So it's 1 acre is not a lot. We
Yeah.
might get like three tons of material, maybe.
Okay. Yeah.
That's the in the middle. Maybe we can get this 3 tons of material so we can do the education. So we're not like gonna go and make. I know I'm not gonna make any money. So I just want to make sure that the education, so the money will come when we start the education, and
Right.
I know that in my heart that people will see the work that we are doing here, and the money will come.
Awesome. You're a pioneer there in Connecticut.
Yeah. I'm the
Yeah.
crazy one. Like I go to all these meetings. Like the commissioner don't like me that much because I call them out all the time. Like I don't hold my tongue. And they need to know that I'm a community activist. Like I was, that's what I do. Hold people accountable. So I'm gonna hold you accountable for the things that you say that are not, true. Like he went and spoke to somebody about one of the biggest issues in Connecticut right now for hemp farmers is that they don't understand that they got to get their fingerprinting because they had a halt on fingerprinting for like 2 years because they needed to figure it out where they're going to get this fingerprints, who's going to do what, the
Right.
system.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they had like a 2 year halt. And now they were like going crazy telling farmers, hemp farmers, to get their fingerprinting. But we are all in a chat. We are all in an email. We all know that we got to get our fingerprints. We all know this is happening. Like, how is that an issue? Like, that's not an issue.
All right. It's not an issue. And I would argue that the whole fingerprinting thing shouldn't be an issue at all. Like, it shouldn't
At
be a
all.
requirement. It's like you're just going to treat these potential farmers like criminals. Like, no, that's not the way to start an industry. So it's frustrating. That's what that hemp exemption is trying to do for fiber and grain growers, to move those barriers.
Yeah.
So
People need to go and talk to their legislators. I had a conversation with Congresswoman Johanna Hayes. She's in the ag department. I'm
Okay.
in the ag committee.
Okay.
In Congress, and I'm part of her district here in Connecticut. So we had a one-on-one, and I was pushing the Industrial Hemp Act. Like, that was my push. Even though
Yeah.
it's not perfect, but it's a start. A lot of people have their reservations with the bill, but to me, it's like it's a start because,
Right.
first of all, the fingerprinting and the testing. Like, I don't want to test my plants of fiber and grain for.
Why should you have to? The THC level has nothing to do with it. It's not like you might even cut it before it goes to flower. It's just, it's nuts. Yeah.
So to me, it's like, that's those things I'm for. So I was like, I did a lobby day. So I encourage people to go and talk to their legislators, to talk to their senators, whoever you can, to make sure that this happens, because it's going to help a lot of farmers, and a lot of farmers going to get encouraged to grow hemp because they don't have to go through all these hoops and turns to get the license.
Yep. God willing, that's the way we're going, right? But like you said, like you just got to start. You can't wait around for it to be perfect, right? You just have to start.
Mm-hmm. And set precedents, and set a precedents. This is what we want. We want more. This is what we can get right now. But you believe that we're gonna fight for more.
Yep. Cool. Anything else you want to share with me about your operation or your hemp plans or anything really?
I mean, my hemp plans is to be, I don't like being the first. I don't like being first on anything, because that's like, when you fail, everybody's looking at you. But I'm trying to push hemp here, so we be in the East Coast, we be a force to reckon with in Connecticut. But we need a lot of help from people. We need everybody to buy in, everybody to help out. It's a small state, but there's a lot of money here. There's a lot of people that can benefit. One of the things I'm doing also is working with architects, so we can do the prefabricated panels of hempcrete and hemp wool insulation. Working with those architects so we can start pushing that here. There's a lot of houses being built every day in Connecticut. There's nothing but houses being built. So how can we push for more sustainable housing and affordable housing for people that need it as well?
Right.
And talking to to all the municipalities to make sure that they understand what hemp is. And that's my goal, is going from municipality, from town to town, doing presentations, talking to these people about the importance of hemp.
That's awesome. And so, yeah, you worked on those panels at the hempcrete workshop in Pennsylvania, and you can just see.
That was awesome.
Yeah, tell me about your experience there.
Oh man, it was an eye-opening experience of the things that we can do, and where the industry is headed, and the things that we can accomplish if we work together. So building those panels, we did that in 2 days, and we did about 10 of them. It looked a lot at the beginning. I was like, how are we going to do this in 2 days? But we did it, and it was a team effort. And I learned a lot. I learned about all the things that you need to do to make sure you have a successful business. And it's all about being in community, sharing knowledge, because that's part of the problem in other industries, is that everybody want to keep the knowledge because they, this is mine, this is mine. But in hemp, I don't see that. So to me, that's what I saw there as well, because everything was all the knowledge. Anybody that I asked for anything, they were telling me that this is what you need to do. This is the things that this is how you should start. Start small. All of them just told me, the same thing. Start small. Start small. A lot of people won't tell you that. They, especially in cannabis, they just say, "Oh, you want to have a dispensary? Yeah, I help you. Come on, give me all your money, right?" So it's not like that. So to me, that's what I took away from the experience, is that everybody was open, everybody was in community, and it was an amazing experience. Shout out to Cameron.
Shout out to Cameron. Yeah, Cameron McIntosh. The group that was, one of the organizers of that is called All Together Now, Pennsylvania. And
Monica, shout out to her.
Yeah. All right. So I'm just curious if you did get to learn a bit about that organization, because it seems like what they're doing and what you're doing in Connecticut, education-wise and community-wise, there's a lot of overlap and could be some synergy. So,
yeah. So I spoke to her, and I'm trying to get her and Cam to come to Connecticut and do a presentation maybe in August, September, around the hempcrete. So we in conversation right now, so we can bring that education that is lacking in Connecticut. So yeah, so we in the talks with that, because she's great. She shares so much information. Like, she shared that grant that they announced in Pennsylvania for hemp farmers, and I sent it to Herbert and his second in command, Jamie. And that's when Jamie sent me an email saying, "Oh, this is the grants that we offer. So that's the only thing that we can do right now.
Take it or leave it."
Take it or leave it. So, like, but it's good because she set precedence. It's like, for me, it's like, now when we in these meetings, it's like, I know you're lying because there's other commissioners that's making this happen. So you can't tell me that you cannot make this happen. So now I got ammunition, and it's thanks to Monica.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I'm really proud of my, home state of Pennsylvania, because, our ag department, it gets it, like there's a lot of movement here in the state, because, there's so much sort of at stake, like this, these are things we talk about on the show all the time, but like hemp can bring healing to communities, to the environment, to, individuals. And it could be just such an economic boom to have, the farmers in Pennsylvania producing the raw materials that we make all of our consumer products and, building products out of.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, it's such a simple idea to me. And I'm often a little like impatient with people who aren't even looking at it. It's like, if we have, I know here in the U.S., climate change is somehow a political issue. But it's not really up.
And I don't even know
it's
why.
Like it shouldn't be up for debate, right? Like the evidence, the science, whatever. I mean, we don't know exactly what's going to happen, but we know that something's happening. We know like it tracks with the Industrial Revolution. It's like we screwed this place up in a really short amount of time, and we need to, put agriculture to work in a bigger and bolder way, and.
That is more sustainable, and that I can reach more people. Like, we're an industrialized country. Like, how are people food insecure? Like, that just make no sense.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, if any of us are suffering, all of us are suffering. And that's like we can do better than that, right? We deserve better than that. And that's why I see hemp as this, it's not just hemp. It's like hemp is this symbol of what agriculture can do for the planet, for the people, for communities. So that's what
right.
keeps
The
me.
catalyst. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's what keeps me interested here, because I think,
Yep.
I love to talk to the people who are, like you, who are like the first in their state, or, they're just making something happen because they believe in something, bigger, right? Something
Yeah.
more meaningful. So,
And it's
I,
legacy for me. It's like in generational wealth, and how can my son is learning generational wealth, just by looking at the work that we do here. So for me, it's like that's the people that's gonna inherit this. At the end of the day, it's like we're fighting for the people that's gonna inherit this. And if it's not for that, it's like do it for that.
yeah,
If it's not for anything else, do it for that,
yep.
because the new generation is coming. I'm in the works for a hemp book for children.
Y-
So I'm gonna do I'm working on a children's book on hemp.
Oh, cool. Okay,
Yeah,
nice.
so we can start educating
Right.
our younger generation about hemp and the potential of hemp.
Yeah. It what we were talking about reminds me of, I guess it's kind of like a one of those memes or something, but it's like our kids don't inherit the earth from us, we borrow it from our children or something like I
Yeah,
forget what the exact wording is, but yeah, I think if more people saw it that way, we would be in a different world.
yeah,
But yeah, but thank you to people like you who are making a difference. So
no problem.
Freedom, it's
And
great to
then I
talk to you.
would say,
Yeah.
if people want to reach out to me, they can go to Instagram and hit me up at SEAMARRON Farmstead, Cimarron Farmstead, at Cimarron Farmstead in IG. And yeah, that's my way of contact. And
All
then
right.
if you on LinkedIn, you can search me as Hector Freedom Gerardo.
Okay.
That's my
And I'll
literally.
publish those links on the show page for this episode too, so people can just go there and click on them and just connect with you directly.
Sounds great.
Cool. This has been great. Thank you for taking some time with me today, Freedom.
Thank
It's
you.
really nice to hear about what you're doing up there.
I hope you enjoy the birds.
I do like the birds.
This
Yeah.
is my mornings. Every morning, I just sit here, drink my tea, then go to work.
All right. Well, I'll let you get back to it, and good luck with the planting and the education.
You should
Volunteer
come
day
out
next
one
week.
day. You should
Uh,
come out one day.
well, I'm headed up to New England in a couple of weeks, so maybe we can stop by. But we'll.
Let me know.
All right. Cool.
All right.
Thanks, man. Take care.
Thank you. Have a good one.
There you go. That was Freedom Gerardo from Cimarron Farmstead in Danbury, Connecticut. Be sure to reach out to him if you have questions or you want to learn more. I'll have all of those links on the show page for this episode at lancasterfarming.com. So that does it for me this week. My name is Eric Herlock. I am the digital editor at Lancaster Farming newspaper, the greatest agricultural newspaper in the world. Check us out online at lancasterfarming.com. Be sure to click on the links to our sponsors, and you can read those news stories. And, you can get yourself a subscription to our newspaper if you don't have one already. And just a heads up, I am going to be taking a little time off over the next couple of weeks, but I do promise one show at least in the next 2 weeks. Okay, so stay tuned for that. And until next time, I will see you in the newspaper.
Industrial hemp.
This episode of the Lancaster Farming Industrial Hemp Podcast is copyright 2023 by Lancaster Farming Newspaper, part of the Steinman Communications family. Today's show is written and recorded, edited, and produced by Eric Herlock. And any music you hear throughout the show is courtesy of Tin Bird Shadow. Oh, good. You're still here. All right. One more thing to share with you this week. This is a Shetland fiddle tune called The Old Resting Chair. It's written by Tommy Anderson. And I'm playing it here on the baritone ukulele because you don't want to hear me play it on the fiddle. Not yet. I'm going to give that a couple of years. All right, but here you go. The Old Resting Chair. Thanks for listening. I will say that I think I need to play that one slower with more ocean, wind, and sky.